Hola, sí, buenas tardes. Vamos a empezar hoy a hacer una especie de conferencia sobre mi trabajo. Soy Marianela Boán, he estado presentando aquí en Anthropophobia mi obra, en Documenta mi obra Anthropophobia. Y hoy se están haciendo además presentaciones de los videos de mis obras históricamente en la misma sala que trabajamos ayer.
Good evening. English is okay, English? Spanish. Perfecto. So, good evening. Welcome to Marianela Boan's conference today in INSTAR in Documenta 15. Marianela is presenting her performance Anthropophobia yesterday and today again at 6 p.m. And right now they are presenting also video projections of her work, choreographic work, like many different pieces that the people are still watching in the INSTAR space.
Yo tengo aquí hoy el gran gusto de compartir la conferencia con Marta Hincapié, coreógrafa, bailarina,
Of sharing the panel
colombiana que vive en Alemania.
with Marta Hincapié. She is a Colombian artist living in Germany, and she will help me with the translation. She can do it in English or German, as you prefer.
Marianela, okay. Yeah, they say German, but it's okay German for you. You speak German. You speak German. Yeah. No German. English. Yeah. Okay. So, sorry. Ich bin Marta Encapiecharri, Marianela Boan, meine Lehrerin in Kuba. Ich komme aus Kolumbien, ich wohne in Berlin und ich bin heute hier zu begleiten und ein bisschen mit Deutsch zu helfen. ¿Pero español hablas? Tampoco. Okay. So I'm just here to translate for Marianela. Marianela was my teacher. I'm from Colombia, but I live here in Germany. So I can do kind of English and German for the people that don't speak German.
Bueno, muchas gracias. Martica va a tratar de hacer cosas como en inglés.
Thank you. So Marta will try to be flipping between English and German, and I'll speak in Spanish.
Bueno, la conferencia de hoy se llama
Okay, today's talk,
Danza Contaminada.
this conversation is titled Contaminated Dance. Those of you who saw my work Anthropophobia yesterday, or those who will see it today at 6, or if you have seen my videos,
puesto los videos. Mi obra le llamo contaminada porque mezcla
I
todas
call
las
my
artes
work
conceptuales del
Contaminated Dance
espectáculo
because it is a
coreográfico.
mixture of all of the arts within the
So
choreographic
Marianela has
spectacle.
created a system that is called Contaminated Dance because it mixes all art languages in her work. So it's known as this Contaminated Dance system that she developed in Cuba. Und ja, sie hat so ein System entwickelt, ein Kreationssystem als Choreografin in Kuba und es heißt kontaminiert Tanz, wo sie ähm, alle Kunstsysteme zusammenbringt, aber der Fokus ist Tanz und Körper, aber sie arbeitet mit Video und ja, ihr kann hier gucken, was sie gerade macht. Und heute um 6, sie präsentiert hier in der Start Raum die Performance Anthropophobia. Ihr seid auch willkommen um 18 Uhr.
Soy una coreógrafa de muchos en la carrera muy
I have
larga,
been a choreographer
cubana.
for many, many
Comencé en
years.
Cuba, pero después
I
he
started
desarrollado
out
mi
in
carrera también
Cuba, but
en Estados
later I
Unidos
have
y en
also
República
worked in the
Dominicana.
United States and the
Eh,
Dominican Republic.
Ja, ja, also wir machen langsam. So Marianela Boan is she's an icon. She's a really important figure of the contemporary dance. This is I'm saying this in Latin America, but also like in the dance community around the planet. And she developed her work in Cuba and the USA and Dominican Republic. So Marianela ist sehr bekannt und sehr wichtig für die Tanzgeschichte, nicht nur in Kuba, in Lateinamerika, aber weltweit. Ist sehr wichtig, was sie gesagt hat mit ihrer Arbeit.
Mi trabajo en Cuba, primero
My
comencé en
work
una
in
compañía
Cuba, first I
grande,
was
nacional,
part of
prácticamente una
a
escuela para mí,
large
pero
national
después hice mi
company
propia
that was kind
compañía,
of like a
Danza
school for
Abierta,
me.
una de
Then I
las propias
created
que he
my
creado,
own
y con
company,
ellas
Danza
desarrollé un
Abierta
trabajo
or
por el cual estoy
Open
aquí en
Dance.
Documenta
And
ahora,
with them, I
un
developed the work
trabajo,
that I have
digamos,
brought to
de mucha
Documenta.
crítica social.
It's
Se
a
puede
work that
llamar, lo que han
involves
llamado
a
aquí
lot of social
autónomo, es decir,
critique.
un
It could be
trabajo
described as
que
autonomous.
tenía una voz independiente de la voz oficial o de la voz institucional.
It
Es
was
un
a
trabajo
voice, our
coreográfico
voice was
muy
independent
crítico,
from the
muy
institutional voice.
señalador
It was a very
de la
critical,
realidad
choreographic
política cubana, de la realidad
work,
cubana,
very
y
questioning of
que
Cuba's
durante 15
political
años
realities.
desarrollé
And
en
for
Cuba
15 years,
con mucha fuerza.
we did
So
this in
Marianela worked in
Cuba
the
in a
National
very
Contemporary
forceful
Dance
way.
Company in Cuba, but after she became independent and created her own company called Danza Abierta, where she started to make statements like social and political statements as an independent being regarding the political system in Cuba. And yeah, what is not usual because the censorship in Cuba is very strong, but Marianela had her own character and point of view, and she was very critical with the system from a social and political perspective. So Marianela hat mit der Nationalzeitgenössische Tanz Gruppe gearbeitet, aber danach war sie frei von der Company und sie hat die Tanzgruppe Danza Abierta kreiert in La Habana, Kuba und sie hat mit ihrer einzigartigen Perspektive ganz bekannt bekommen, weil sie ist sehr kritisch mit der politischen Landschaft und die soziale Landschaft von Kuba und was problematisch sein kann, aber sie hat seine Charakter ist sehr stark und sie ist sehr klar mit dieser Position, soziale und politische Position.
Entonces, después de desarrollar esa carrera muy fuerte en Cuba,
So
ustedes han
after
visto quizás
working in
algunas
Cuba,
imágenes por aquí
you've seen a few images of the works I produced there. I left to the United States, and there I noticed something interesting. Although it was a different environment, I remained very critical of the system. So I'm trying to say that I cannot avoid compiling information about reality. I remain very ethical in my work. I'm always interested in criticizing and examining social reality. I believe in dance as a critical voice, a form of truth telling, and I continue to do this in the United States and now in Dominican
From
Republic, where I
Cuba, Marianela moved
currently
to
reside.
USA, and of course, like the political situation is very different in both countries. She maintained her critical work and her social perspective and the independent character of her own proposals as choreographer. And afterwards she moved to Dominican Republic, where she is nowadays still working and living.
We've been screening some videos that I produced in Dominican Republic in the hall right over there. And as you can see there, I am examining issues of identity and power relations proper to Dominican Republic. In the United States, I became very interested in the dictatorship of the image, video, and the virtual, and also the dehumanization of individuals who are trying to survive objects.
So in Dominican Republic, she continued researching about all the topics that she already was working about in Cuba and USA, but putting more emphasis in identity and how in the power of image and how the image, like I, idealistic image, can control the body and the perspectives of this society. Yeah. Okay.
In the United States, I continued exploring social issues, but I am especially interested in working with the image, with video. The fact that the individual, I mean, the condition of the post-information society and all those problems. And then in Dominican Republic, I became especially interested in the question of identity. So what I mean is that I've always maintained a critical stance, and now I have started also to work in Europe, in Portugal, and here also I
Yeah,
try
in
to
USA,
approach
Marianela started to
society with a
create a
critical
relationship
gaze.
with image, like video work and multimedia work, and she started to create, uh, to develop works related to technology, new technologies, video, multimedia, and to start to go deep into these possibilities for the body and for communication. And continuing it and now in Dominican Republic, but also in Portugal, and always with this critical, political, and social perspective. But now like in a deep relationship with video and multimedia and technology.
So what I call contaminated dance, the idea is including different art media and different genres. This has changed and shifted in my work depending on where I am living, and it's been nourished by the aesthetic and conceptual possibilities of each of these places.
So each place that Marianela visits or she moves in has a great influence in her work and contaminates every time even more her proposals, and also not only in a geopolitical way in the places that she lives, but also in the relationship with what's happening nowadays with technology.
La contaminación surgió en Cuba cuando quería hablar de cosas
Contamination
muy
emerged in
específicas
Cuba when I
y la
wanted to
danza
discuss
pura del
very
movimiento
particular
no me
issues,
bastaba.
which
Necesitaba usar otros
I,
signos,
I,
otros
I couldn't
códigos
use pure
para
dance
expresarme,
for that. I needed
para
to
decir
use
las
other
cosas
signs, other codes to express myself and to say
violando la censura,
things,
o sea, con un nivel
getting
de
through
polisemia,
censorship.
usando al máximo
I was
el
trying
nivel
to use
polisémico de la danza,
maximum
de
polysemy
manera que yo podía
in
decir muchas
dance.
cosas sin que nadie me
And so
acusara
I
de que
was
estoy
able
diciendo
to
algo
say many
específico,
things, and
o era
nobody
muy
could
claro que
accuse me
estaba
of
diciendo algo
saying
muy
a particular
específico.
thing, although it was quite
Fue
clear
la
what I was
manera de
trying to
usar
say.
los distintos códigos,
Uh,
cómo
by
usaba la
using
palabra, cómo
different
usaba el
codes, by
gesto, la
using
postura,
the word,
todo, ¿no?
gestures,
Mezclado con el
postures,
movimiento.
in
So
combination with
the
movement.
contamination started in Cuba already when the pure language of dance, like the purity of movement wasn't enough for Marianela to express herself. And she started to play with different codes and systems to make her work richer, but also to play with these codes and to say things that maybe she wasn't allowed to talk about because of censorship, but playing with all these different languages in a very clever way. She could be very critical in a way that she couldn't be directly censorship because of the way that she was mixing all the languages together.
Ya, y cuando ocurre la pandemia, hacía ya
And
15 años
when
que
the
yo no
pandemic
bailaba
came, I
y de
hadn't
pronto me
danced
vi
for
encerrada en
15
mi casa,
years. And all of a sudden, I
sin
was
tener
locked up at
bailarines, sin
home
tener espacio de danza, nada.
with no
Y entonces
dancers,
empecé a
no place to
filmarme a mí misma
rehearse, nothing.
y surgieron lo
And
que
I
luego llamaron
started
los
filming
coreovideos o
myself.
videos hechos
And
desde la
this is the
perspectiva del
source of what I
coreógrafo.
call choreo videos or
With
videos
the
made from the point
pandemic,
of view of the choreographer.
Marianela found herself challenged, and even though she didn't dance herself on the stage for 15 years, she started to, with the help of the camera and the videos, to explore new possibilities of expression and to have a dialogue with the camera and with video and multimedia to start again to recreate and to contaminate new ways of expression and possibilities of share her work through video and camera and technology.
Y acumulé durante un año muchos
And for a
videos,
year, I
coreovideos,
compiled
de los
a lot of
Yeah, sorry, I
many of
forget to
these
say
choreo
this. She
videos.
developed this system or technique for herself that is called choreo videos.
que es el video desde la perspectiva del coreógrafo, ¿no?
Which means it's a video work, but from the choreographer perspective, not from a videographer or from a film director, but it's the choreographer itself choreographing the videos and using all the technology from a choreographic perspective.
Exacto. Entonces, durante todo el año de la pandemia, el 2020,
So during
acumulé muchos
2020,
coreovideos y al final del año
I
invité a
compiled
una
many of these
bailarina a
videos,
bailar en
and
vivo con mis videos. O
at
sea
the end of the
que
year, I
hicimos una
invited a
coreografía
dancer
que
to
es la que
dance
están
live
viendo,
along with
que
my
uno
videos.
baila
So we created a
una bailarina
choreography, which
virtual y una
you're
bailarina
watching now,
real. Y es
or
la
you have
obra
a
que estamos
virtual
presentando
dancer
aquí hoy a las
and a
6 de
real
la tarde.
dancer. And this is the work
So
that we
in
will present
2020,
here
with the
today at
pandemic,
6
Marianela
p.m.
started to research and to create with videos and through videos. And at the end of the year, she invited a dancer, the one that you can see in the video, um, to interact with her in the video. So there is a virtual dancer and a live performing dancer. And this is the piece that is invited to the documenta that was performed yesterday and today again at 6 here in the INSTAR space. So you are also welcome to come and watch it. That is called Anthropophobia.
La obra se llama Anthropophobia
The work is
y
called
Anthropophobia trata
Anthropophobia,
sobre todas las fobias
and it's
que hemos
about all
heredado
of
de la
the
pandemia.
phobias that we have inherited
So
from the pandemic.
anthropophobia, as you can see right now in the video, is about all the phobias that humankind developed through the pandemic.
En la obra hay textos de Camus, de
In
La
the
Peste,
work,
de Albert
there
Camus, que
are
está utilizado también como
texts
parte del texto. O sea que
from
es una obra
Albert Camus, from The Pest.
muy contaminada en el
So
sentido
it's a
de que
very
hay
contaminated
texto,
work
hay, o sea,
because there
la
is
bailarina
text. The dancer is working with text, there's video, there's movement, there's acting, etc.
So the piece is inspired also by the text from Albert Camus, the Pest, I think in English is La Peste, the Pest, uh, and the Plague, the Plague. And it mixes, as you can see, also live performance, video, text, music, sound composition, and it's the continuation of the contaminated system of Marianela. Ah, el video.
Bueno, no sé si tienen alguna pregunta. Si
I don't know
alguno,
if you have any
algunos de los que están presentes
questions.
aquí han visto la obra que estoy
If
presentando,
somebody here has
Anthropophobia, si
seen
pueden hacer
the
alguna
work
pregunta.
Anthropophobia, if you have any
Okay,
questions.
maybe you saw the piece last night or now through the video, or do you have maybe a question for Marianela? Do you want to know something more specific about her or about the piece? Sí. Sí.
Gracias por la presentación. Me resulta familiar el formato de trabajo. En Chile
I
hay otro
find
proyecto que se vincula
this format
a la cine
familiar.
documental,
In Chile,
que
I am part of
involucra
a
un
group
diseño escénico.
called
Entonces me
Experimental
interesa
Dance,
mucho si puedes explorar un poco más
and I work
tu
on stage design
residencia
myself.
en contaminación norteamericana. Si trabajaste con otras coreografías, con otro mundo, cómo se corporeizó, cómo se verbalizó, ese verbo corporal, cómo se construyó o deconstruyó?
So he's comes from Chile. You were with an experimental dance group, and he's asking
If
Marianela
you
about
could
the contamination
tell us a bit
technique
more
and how
about,
she embodies this process of working with the body, with the brain, and with the different arts that conform her proposals.
Ajá. Bueno, en Estados Unidos yo
well,
me
in the
concentré
United
mucho en el
States,
video.
I
El
focused
video porque
on
era lo que yo
video
tenía en
because
Cuba.
I didn't have
Yo
access to
necesitaba explorar
video
ese
in
mundo que
Cuba
yo
and I
tenía,
really needed to
pero lo
explore
hice
that
también con una
technology,
One. O
but I
sea,
did it
compré
as a
unas
Cuban.
maquetas
I
pequeñitas de
purchased very small
$300 y
$300
empecé a esconder
cameras
detrás
and I
del
started
proyectar
hiding them
imágenes en
and
tiempo real en
projecting
cajas gigantescas
images
con los bailarines adentro.
in
Y
real
empecé a
time
crear
with other
zonas
dancers on
de
boxes because I
privacidad,
was
pero que la
interested
cámara
in
como un dictador,
privacy and
o
in the
sea,
camera as
la
a
cosa de estar
dictator.
siempre en la
The
virtualidad,
idea of being
qué
always
peligros,
within a virtual space and the
qué te pasa a ti como ser
dangers
humano
it entails,
con esa situación.
what happens to you as a
Y
human
empezaron
being under such
entonces a partir de ahí
circumstances.
empezaron a salir un
And
montón de
so
ideas
this gave
que se
rise to
volvieron
many
visuales a
ideas
pesar de
that
mí,
became
que son
visual in spite of
musicales.
myself because I am
Fueron unos
very
fenómenos
conceptual.
visuales increíbles,
Many
pero todas mis
incredible
obras
visual
estuvieron
phenomena
dedicados a la
emerged.
indagación
But most of my
de
work
cómo
in
se
the
puede vivir en
United
una
States
sociedad
was
donde tú eres
an
siempre virtual en
exploration
la
of how you
convivencia con
can
la
live in a
virtualidad.
society where you are always.
So when Marianela arrived to the US, that was before the pandemic. Marianela started already to work with video and technology and virtuality before the pandemic, before all this
Coexisting
happened.
Eso fue
with the
como en
virtual space. So
2007,
this is
8 por
around
ahí.
2006, 7, 8,
2006, 7,
she started
8.
already to work with video. And for her was very, it took her attention that in the US, you live in virtuality because you have all the time a camera pointing to you. So she asked herself, what does it mean, this like kind of dictatorship of the camera that is all the time filming you when you're in the street, when you're in a inside room in the US, and this lack of privacy that she felt, she started to research about it in her work with boxes and videos and cameras, taking the performance like from very close and already contaminating even more her process. But much before the pandemic happened, she was already working with all these topics.
Y entonces, claro, a mí nunca me
So
gustaba
of
porque
course,
se usaba el
I
video en
didn't like
danza
how
para
video
efectos
was used in
decorativos.
dance.
Y
It was
entonces
very
cambié video en
decorative.
parte de la
And
acción.
so
O
I
sea, hay
made
una
video
persona que
part of
filma,
the
los
action.
bailarines
Dancers
mismos se filman
would
entre
film
ellos,
each
el
other,
director cambia de lugar. eh, Cuando
and when
se
they're
baila
dancing
dentro de
inside
cajas,
boxes,
la
then
proyección se
we
produce en
would
la caja, el bailarín puede tocar
the
la imagen,
dancers
bailar con la
could touch
imagen.
the images projected
Había
on the
toda una
boxes and dance
reflexión
with
en ese
them.
trabajo
So
sobre
it
la
was about
convivencia con la imagen,
coexisting with
cómo a
images.
estas alturas nos sentimos más
How by now we
confortables
feel more
afectivamente
comfortable from an affective point of
con la
view
imagen
with
que con otro
images than
ser
with other
humano,
human
¿no? O sea,
beings.
no,
Not
no,
we,
no
but I
sé, pero
mean,
quiero decir,
in a
de
sense,
alguna manera
it's
ese
there.
sentido, ¿no? La
The
imagen,
image
la afectividad
and a
más segura
safer
cuando no tenemos que
emotional
tocar a
space
alguien
when you
real,
don't
¿no?
have to touch real
Y
persons.
todo ese conflicto, bueno, lo que dijimos de la
As
privacidad,
I said, it was about
la cosa
privacy. I was also
de
interested
espiar
in
también, y cómo de
espionage,
alguna manera el
surveillance,
control que se
control
ejerce sobre la
exerted
gente
on
en una
individuals
sociedad así
in a
posinformática como esa,
post-information
en los medios,
society.
es apabullante.
I
Bueno,
was
esas cosas me
amazed by all of
impresionaron mucho y
this,
aproveché mucho
and
para
I
aprender mucho sobre
took the
video y
opportunity
sobre
to
cómo
learn a
manejar el
lot
video de
about
una manera
video and
muy
about how to use
a lo
video in a different
caribeño.
way in a Caribbean fashion.
Okay, so um, so yeah, this is a lot information. So Marianela, for her, never was enough like the decorative form that dance can be in many spaces or creations. So she started to use the camera as kind of as a performer more like the dancers were inside the stage, filming each other and moving with the cameras and taking their own images. And they were also working inside boxes where they can like in real time project their own images and also touch themselves and dance with themselves with their own image. And she started to ask herself about this state where humans, like nowadays with technology, we get more comfortable with a virtual image or with the telephone or the computer than socializing like live, being together as a society. But this phenomena that nowadays is very normal now that people are dating online and driving into virtuality. And the last part that you said about the also privacy, and the control that is generated also by the cameras in the virtual world, especially in the US, where you can feel a camera present every in almost every space where you are.
Como bailarina,
As a
descubrir
dancer,
que ya no
discovering
somos
that we
solamente
are
reales,
no
somos parte
longer
siempre
only
virtual,
real, that we are
que
also
tenemos dos
always
cuerpos,
virtual, and that we have two
cuerpo real,
bodies, the
el
real
cuerpo
body
virtual
and
es
the virtual
inevitable,
body.
tú no lo
It's
puedes bloquear,
unavoidable.
está ahí. Y
You
cómo tú
cannot get
convives
around
con
that.
esas dos
So how do you
realidades
coexist
desde
with
tu
these
propio
two
de
realities
danzante,
through
de
your
coreógrafo?
dancer's body?
So nowadays, even if we want it or not, or we know it or not, we have two bodies, like the flesh body and the virtual body that is having an extra life when we are taking in video cameras, survey cameras, and we don't even realize, but it's like actually happening for all of us nowadays.
Y que nosotros somos muchos, somos lo que somos y todo,
We are
más,
what we
más todo lo que
are,
somos en la realidad y
everything that
todo
we
lo
are
que
in
somos en la
reality,
virtualidad.
plus everything
O
that
sea,
we are
tenemos
in
multiplicado.
virtuality. So we've
And
multiplied
then we
ourselves.
become not just these two bodies, but we are many bodies and many us. We are many in these different places that we are experiencing and sharing with cameras. The cameras that we don't realize that are taking us, or the camera of the phone, the camera of the computer, and then we become many. We are many bodies and many realities.
Any other
¿Alguna otra
question?
pregunta?
Somebody else has a question, maybe?
Bueno, últimamente estoy trabajando mucho en Portugal, aquí en Europa, y también ha sido muy interesante. Mi última obra, realmente mi última obra
My
se llama
last
Pausa
work is
Forzada.
called Pausa
Y
Forzada,
bueno, de alguna
forced
manera
pause.
también
And in a way, it
trata
also has
sobre
to do
la
with
cuestión
the
del
coronavirus and confinement, but it's also about war. Humanity has been forced to come to a halt during the past few years. There are all of these detentions, things that stop us on our tracks. I made this work in Portugal with four dancers from the Caribbean in Portugal, and I think that these are images from that work. And so now I have another platform. I'm working in Europe now, and which I feel, let's say that this is a different part of the world.
So lately, Marianela has been working in Portugal, still living in Dominican Republic, but also working in Portugal. She developed this piece that is called Forced Pause. And well, she, of course, talks and reflects around the pandemic, but also about and around war and the ways that society sees the we see ourselves forced to stop our everyday life and in our rhythms for situations, planetary situations that affect us all. And she developed this in Portugal with four dancers from the Caribbean, from Cuba and Dominican Republic. And so she's now like moving herself between the Caribbean and Europe.
So,
A propósito de la tribuna europea,
About Europe,
observo que en tu trabajo veo alguna
I see some
reminiscencia, contacto o interfaz corporal con los últimos trabajos de Pina
your
Bausch.
body reminds me
En
of
su caso,
Pina
tú
Bausch's
ahora estás
later
en
works.
conversa con los
And
fraseos de Pina
so, are
Bausch
you in
o estás de la
conversation with
mano.
her phrasing?
See? Okay, so there is a question about the work of Pina Bausch, and he wants to know if maybe Marianela's work had something to do or is related in some way to Pina Bausch.
I think it's very different for any dance creator not to not to give in to the wonder of Pina, but rather I studied her very well to avoid imitating her.
So Marianela says that maybe it's almost impossible that any dance theater creator don't get anything from the work, any influence from the work of Pina, but she worked hard enough to study Pina's work deeply in order not to go in her direction and not to and try to not to do anything similar to her.
But I think that she's a complete genius. I learned a lot from her work. And of course, sure, it's in my work, as well as Barba or Grotowski, many drama authors like Brecht, a lot of postmodern theater from the United States, all of the improvisation systems.
Carmen Bouchard? Chilena, okay, no.
Porque quiero que me inviten a Chile, voy a ver si me resuelves eso.
I've never been able, had a chance of traveling to Chile,
No he tenido mucho contacto, pero
but
lo
I will look up your work. I would love to see it.
sí, sí. Bueno, pues yo
Well,
creo que,
I think that
no
maybe
sé,
People are
¿qué más
still
podría?
watching the videos. La gente sigue viendo los
Ajá,
videos.
sí. Hay muchas personas en este
many
momento
people
viendo
are
mis
watching the
videos
videos of
viendo
my
mi
work
trabajo,
now
no lo
in other
saben.
rooms.
Entonces, pero está
That's
muy bien.
fine.
Quizás
Maybe
habría
it
sido
would
más
have been more
interesante hacer esto
interesting
después
to
de
have
reflexionar,
had this conversation after people
pero
could see the videos,
el tiempo es
but
para tanto.
we don't have time for
Digamos
everything.
entonces, bueno, quería
So
decirles
I
que
just
mañana
wanted
que a
to
las
remind
6
you
se va
that
a
I will
presentar mi
present
obra
my work
Anthropophobia, que se
Anthropophobia at
presentó
6
ayer
p.m.
aquí en esta
in the
sala
room
y que están todos invitados.
right over there, and you're all
Muchas gracias.
invited.
Quiero
Thank
primero
you. I
agradecer
also
muchísimo
want to
a
thank
Tania
Tania
Bruguera,
Bruguera and
a INSTAR,
INSTAR
su
for organizing
organización,
this.
a la organización
I want to thank Documenta, the INSTAR staff.
que han
They've been
trabajado
working so hard
increíblemente, para decir una buena palabra, haciendo esta
on this
curaduría
wonderful
maravillosa de todo el
project,
arte
this
curatorial
curatorial project
histórico
about
y
on
actual
Cuban
que ha tenido que
art
ver con lo que
from the
se
past
le
and
llamamos ahora arte
contemporary,
autónomo, es
with
decir,
a
un arte
focus
con
on
una propia,
autonomous
su
art,
propia voz,
art
como
that
se le
has its
llama.
own voice and its own
Muchas
system.
gracias.
Thank you very
Okay,
much.
so thank you very much for coming. At 8 today is the performance in Star Space in the Documenta 15, Documenta Halle. So thank you very much for coming, and thanks a lot to the Documenta team, to Tania Bruguera for the in Star Space and team that worked so hard to make this possible and to invite so many powerful, amazing artists from Cuba that are working as autonomous artists, criticizing all the censorship and all the system that didn't allow them to express in many times. But here in the spaces of Documenta, they can talk about it and reflect about it. So thank you very much to everybody, and welcome at 6 p.m. to see Anthropophobia.
Muchas gracias, Marta.
Gracias a ti.